women in Plexus. It is a massive honor, one that I can't even describe to you guys, that she has taken time out of her family and her own team and her own business to pour into us. I have learned so much from this rockstar mama already. She has been so sweet and kind enough to chat with me about all the things that she does on Instagram. But tonight, she is going to talk to us about getting people silver, because that is something that our team is wanting to focus on for the remainder of 2018. We know that recruiting people is part one of this business, but part two is keeping them. And the way to keep them is to get them to silver so that they will be happy on products, but also with a little bit of money in their pocket. So Trisha is Marianne's sponsor, and she's actually the one that told me, Marianne is your girl. If you want to know how to get people silver, ask her. So we have it on good authority that this is one of her killer strengths. And I am so excited to hear from her tonight.
Hey guys, welcome. I'm so honored to be here. I tell you what, Abby is one of a kind, and I've had the privilege of meeting her in person for the first time at convention, which was really fun. So Abby, thank you for having me on. And I remember when I was a newbie 10 months ago watching your videos, and I'm like, wow. And I think you had just gone diamond, or it was around that time. So anyway, feel super honored to be here. And I know how much you guys love her, and you're doing amazing things. So just to kind of share with you a little bit about me, so you know some background. I'm a mom of 5. I'm 37. I had never heard of Plexus before. And so if you think Plexus is tapped out, guess what? It's not. The market is totally not. I live in Florida, so I don't live under a rock. And I had never heard of it before. Nobody, and I have lots of friends on Facebook. I really wasn't on Instagram much at the time. I had just a private personal account. And so anyway, nobody was sharing about Plexus, and I had friends in lots of different states, and nobody was sharing. And so if you think it is, it definitely is not. But I did follow Trisha, Clean House with Kids. She started sharing, and you guys know how the story goes. Now I watched for 6 months, and finally sent her a message, and was one exhausted mama, right? Dealing with all of these things. And so the reason I share with you guys this is because a couple of things had already happened before I sent Trisha a message. One, because I had watched her for 6 months on Instagram, I kind of felt like I knew her, right? I watched her stories. She, would be very vulnerable and would share her heart. And so I felt like we kind of had this connection, even though I had never met her before. I know that sounds crazy, but this is really important when you are working with people and with duplication. And so for some of you, you're working in a warm market. And so, most of the people that you're sharing with, they know you, they have a connection with you. I did not start Plexus in my warm market, and I have not worked it in my warm market. It's basically been with strangers on Instagram. And so I've had to learn how to build a relationship pretty quickly, right? And that level of trust. And so, it's been definitely a learning process. And I started sharing in September. It was craziness. Just know that when you really, something is in your heart to do, it doesn't really matter the circumstances. And we had a hurricane blow through Florida. We were out of power for 8 days. I was still nursing at the time. It was insanity. Okay. Let me tell you what it's like to be without power for 8 days in Florida. It's not fun. We were living out of like this little hotel after a couple of days. I couldn't take it anymore. And I went Fast Start Gold that month, and continue to work super hard personally. I didn't understand anything about duplication or encouraging other people to go silver. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to work really, really hard, and let's just see what happens. And that took me to gold, almost senior gold. I went gold in December and then senior gold in January. But I realized in December that I was working super duper hard, which is good, right? You always want to be personally sponsoring people, but I wasn't going as fast as I wanted to. And I really was kind of lonely. I wanted other people to come with me on this journey, you know? And so at that time, I reached out to my diamond, Shelly, and I said, and Clarita and Trisha, Clarita's now a diamond, of course, Trisha's sapphire. And I set up a 3-way and I said, okay, you guys, like I have to figure out this duplication thing. I got to figure out how to encourage people to go silver because I want to be an emerald and I want to be a diamond. And I don't know if I can do this all by myself. You know what I mean? And I want to help other people. And so I decided that I was going to become a student and I was going to try and figure this out. Now, let me just say disclaimer. I am not like the expert here. I know Trisha thinks I am, but this is still a learning process for me. But I will tell you that we are having duplication like we've never had before. And it just keeps getting better because I really, as the leader, am continually learning and growing and asking for advice. And I remember saying to my diamond Shelly, I said, okay, so I think maybe at the time I had, I don't know, maybe 2 silvers and we had almost 100 people. And she's like, something's wrong. What's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And she really kind of helped me open my eyes to a couple of things that I could be doing and implementing. And I'm going to share the nitty gritty with you guys and how I do it. But it all started with me saying, okay, I don't have this figured out. I got to figure this out. So I'm going to be teachable and coachable and go to those who are uber wise about it, right? To figure this out. And y'all know, of course, Brooke Hemingway is like a super master at this. And she has a video on YouTube that I saw that is, why can't I get my team to share? And I watched it and it was like this aha moment for me. What I had been doing is when somebody would come in, I would basically put them in 2 categories. I would be like, okay, they're not interested in the business. They're just going to be a happy wholesaler. Great. Okay, they're sort of interested in the business. So I'm going to talk to them about going to silver and getting, making $175 paycheck their first month. And we're going to work the business. And so I kind of put everybody in these 2 categories. But what I started to see and what Brooke talked about in that video is why everyone would want to share, whether they want to work the business or not. And so I stopped talking to people about the business right away, unless they have joined for the business. Clearly that's different. But most of the people that join my team are joining for a cheaper price to be a happy wholesaler, right? So I started talking to them about why they would want to share. And taking money out of the equation, taking business out of the equation, and just kind of dealing like human to human basic needs kind of thing, right? And so, I would ask them and I would say, Abby, oh my gosh, I am sure that you've already thought of like a list of people, right, that need this. Who do you think would be an accountability partner with you? Because you're going to be totally set up for success when that happens. And I really want to set you up for success instead of failure. And so I talked to them about getting a buddy. And then I would also talk to them about giving me a shout out post, right? And putting up a post. And I know that Abby's probably talked to you guys about a lot of these tools. And some people would be like, yeah, okay. Well, maybe my mom or my sister, right? And then I would obviously help them reach out. And I can give you guys some more specifics on that if you want. Or, if, and this is the thing, you guys, it's so important. That relationship, and, we ask someone right when they say, tell me about Plexus, our first question is, okay, well, tell me about your health goals, right? We want to know about their health goals. Well, I decided that as soon as they joined, I needed to find out what really motivated them. Like, what was their personality color, but like what really got them excited? Were they excited to share with their friends because they were helping them? Were they excited about not paying for their products every month? And, even though we weren't necessarily talking about money, they would get excited about sharing because that would help them have their products covered because they were helping their friends get healthy. Does that make sense? Because I really feel like people in the beginning are going to share out of pure excitement, and it's going to be contagious for their friends. And that first 24 to 48 hours, I am like hyper focused on getting them to share. Okay. And I try and figure out, okay, is this a person who is a poster on Facebook, right? Like, it's no big deal for her to just throw up a post and be like, y'all, this is what I did. I mean, she already posts what she eats for dinner and, you know, her workout and all the things. This is no big deal for her, right? So people like that, and you're going to look obviously at her feed to kind of see if she's like a regular poster, right? And so I'm going to ask her, I'm going to say, hey, you know, listen, what I want you to do now is I want you to put up a post on Facebook, because I know so many of your friends are silently suffering. I am so thankful that, you know, Trisha shared with me and had the courage to do that, or I wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be here. So this is what you're going to say. Let's put up a post and you can tag me. Okay. If she's a poster, usually that's not going to be a big deal. If I notice that she's not really a poster, then I probably am going to take the approach of, okay, you know, who do you know that could benefit from this? Who do you know that needs more energy, right? And we're going to kind of go through those. Now, most people are going to give you some names. Now, whether they reach out to them right away or not, that's kind of tricky. I've definitely sent the message of who do you know and gotten crickets. And you're like, what do I do now, right? Or I've said, hey, I want you to put a post on Facebook, and they don't respond back. And I'm like, all right, so what do we do? So this is what I created, and this is kind of like my funnel. And so I'm a big believer in like herd mentality and moving people in groups, because I like to do things in groups. You know, I'm a big blue, and so I love that. So this is what I did. Okay, I created this future silver chat on Facebook Messenger. Now, this is really important. I want you guys to hear me out. What I didn't do is go back in those 100 people and go, okay, well, so-and-so wants to go to silver, and so-and-so said she wanted to work the business, so I'm going to throw them in the chat. This was new people, okay? So new people like in the past week. So if you don't have any new ambassadors in the past week, then you need to go get some. And so, because new is exciting. And remember what I said, it's the first 24 to 48 hours. And so what I recommend that you do, we've got a little bit less than a week in the month, but that's all right. You can go and you can add 10 new people to your team. I'm not kidding. You can do that. If you really focus and you go back through customers that maybe have been on the product for a while and, you know, talk to them about upgrading, or, you know, go back through some of your contacts. But if you're like, all right, Marianne, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to add 10 new people to my team between now and June 30th. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take those 10 excited people and you're going to say to them, hey, Jamie, listen, I have this chat on Messenger of friends who are sharing Plexus. Would you like it? Oh, then this is what I say. Because I say the same thing to every person because it works and I was scared to change it. Okay. So I say, hey, Jamie, I have this chat on Facebook Messenger of friends that are sharing Plexus, lots of daily inspo. Would you like me to add you? And then I'm just quiet. Okay. 9 times out of 10, they say yes. All right. So what is this chat? This chat is 100% all about positive, cheerleading, rah-rah. That's what this is about. This is not like training. This is moving people to silver. It's called Future Silver Chat. Okay. Now, a couple of things. This is what I do every time. Let's say it's their first post. I do a big, hey, it's Jamie's first post. Y'all go show her some love, right? So you could start with that as something. But anytime somebody adds a new ambassador, it is like the biggest gift party you've ever seen. I mean, everybody, and you got to train them how to do this, because what will happen is the first time somebody adds something, I'll post it and I'll say, you know, Jamie added a new ambassador and all those things, whatever. And then they need to realize, oh, this is what you do. And it's really funny. The new people sometimes will just do like thumbs up. And then all the people that have been in it for a week are doing all the like, you know, gifts and stuff. And then they get the hang of it. And then it becomes this like, oh my gosh. And do you see what's happening? And so every time somebody new adds somebody, and then once they go silver, right, I teach them, okay, so those 3 people, let's get them in the future silver chat. Let's help them share. The hardest part, you guys, is getting those 10 people to see the ropes and to see how it's working, right? But once they figure out, okay, this is what we do, then they're going to just duplicate that. Okay, so here's a really great example. My neighbor, it's so funny, I don't ever have new people in my warm market, but my neighbor, after 10 months of watching me on this past Thursday, signed up, okay? And I, of course, said, because we have a relationship and she trusted me, that relationship is so important. I told her, I'm like, listen, Maddie, you got to put a Facebook post up. All right. I knew she was not going to reach out to people. I knew that was her personality. So I was just going to go with what I could get. And she put up a post. Okay. So of course, guess what? She went silver from that post. Then one of her new people, without me even telling her to, Maddie told her, hey, you got to put up a post. Guess what? She added a new person. Guess what? I went and saw on Facebook today, the new person had a post. And I'm like, ah! And then they're all adding each other to this future silver chat. You see what I'm saying? And so it created this snowball effect. So it has to happen with your new people. So if you don't have any new people this month, you got to go get some new people. And then you've got to have a really good funnel. And if you want to use the future silver chat idea, great. But figure out a way to communicate with these people every day. So every morning I will be like, good morning. Even though I don't do training, I will do sometimes little fun challenges. Like, here's your challenge today. I want you to, reach out to 3 people about plexus or something, just little bitty baby steps, because these are brand new people who really aren't really sure what they're doing or why they're here, right? But they're getting excited. And so this is what will happen. I'll put somebody in the future silver chat, and sometimes they'll hang out there for a month. And then all of a sudden, they'll add a new ambassador, and it's so funny. They'll do their own announcement. They're so excited that they don't even wait for me to get the email and to see it and post. They'll do their own announcement because they're like, it's my turn, finally. You know what I mean? So this is also really important because you cannot have any negativity in this. You can't have any staleness in this. This is all about momentum. So I pre-check my new people out. And if they are like one of those ranting and raving people on their Facebook page about whatever is going on in their life, they are not getting invited to the chat, okay? So this is a positive space. And if I have someone who posts something like, oh, I reached out to this many people today and I can't get anybody, then I will immediately in the chat say, girl, no negativity in this. I'm going to private message you. And pretty much I've only had to do that maybe twice, and everybody else is like, got it. Okay. I'm like, no. We're going to have a private message about that. That is not for this chat. And then I'll just, reach out to them about it individually. So that's kind of been my system, you guys. Really, 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 really simple. And then what's really exciting, once they're a silver, then I created a future gold chat. And they go to the future gold chat. And then I'm all about, okay, now we're going to go gold. And I had 5 people go gold last month. Let's see, a couple of fast starts, all from then moving them down. Then my whole focus is, okay, now let's get you out of silver. And we make a joke of it. And I'm like, you're getting kicked out of the future silver chat, going to the future gold chat. However, I then say, you can still hang out in there because you're going to use this as a resource for your new people. And so I teach them how to then use that for those new people. Now, we're finally getting to the point where it's getting really big, right? And so people haven't quite started their own chats yet, but I'm going to have to figure all that out, okay? But this is just an example of how you can go from nobody sharing at where I was at gold to emerald and lots of people sharing. And so now it's very, very, very common. I just added a new person this afternoon. She just right before I got on the call, got her new ambassador in first ambassador. Okay. And it's just kind of been with the system. So that's what I'm doing. There you go. Is that helpful, Abby? I don't know.
That is beyond helpful. Do you have time for us to ask a couple questions about kind of like the nitty gritty of it?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay. You guys type your questions in this chat thread if you can so that Marianne can see them. Marianne, can you see that?
Yeah. Do I just scroll up or where do I do
It's
that?
on the bottom, like in the little bubble. Okay. So if you guys have questions, drop them below.
Oh, there we go. I see. Cool.
Okay. So my question for you is, you're saying 24 to 48 hours is key. So for instance, if I recruit a new level 1 tonight, would I then say, okay, new level 1, I need you to make a post. Everybody does it. Like, do you just, as soon as they literally have processed their order, you just present the post part as not even an option? Or are you just trying to get them in the thread? Like, if you have, I need to get from point A to point B, this new person's in my back office, what is the thing you're doing first? Are you just trying to get them in the thread and you're okay with them being in the dark and not knowing what the thread is until they see the next morning's post and they're like, okay, there's a lot of us in here. We just do what she says.
Great question. So as soon as they hit submit, I immediately talk to them about either the post or who do they know. I usually don't say both of them. I kind of try and feel out their personality and go with one or the other.
Okay.
And then, okay, so then if they play ball, that's a really good indicator, because if they don't play ball with you yet, they're not ready. Okay. So, okay. So if they don't respond and you get crickets, then I immediately forget I ever said it. Because I'm like, okay, I need to reel them in. I need to reel them in. And sometimes it'll be a week and I'll revisit that. And I'll say to them, hey, you know, Anne, remember when you joined and I talked about a post? How do you feel about that? Or when their products come in, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you got your pink drink. You got to do a selfie and tag me. Okay, so, but I stay very, very connected and close. It doesn't mean you have to have hour conversations on the phone, but that first week of a new ambassador, y'all, I talk to them almost every day through Messenger or through commenting on their posts. I keep them really, really close. And it does take time. I added like 42 new level 1 ambassadors in April. And so you're going to have to make time for it, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. And so, and then sometimes they don't share their first month, but if you still keep them close, and because I've had this happen, like 2 months later, they randomly put up, in fact, I had this nurse that posted 6 months later, but I had continually mentioned anytime she had positive results, I'm like, Natasha, you have to post. Somebody needs to hear this. And finally, after 6 months, she did, and I got her in the chat, and she got her first team member. But I mean, I'm like, you are getting in my funnel. You know what I mean?
That's the last thing you do. Okay, so if you're presenting, so if you're going, okay, trying to read their page, who they are as a person, and you're going, okay, which one am I going to do? Ask them who they know or make them a post. If you decide it's make a post and they do it, is that your if I will you? So if they do your instruction, then they get in the thread?
Yes. If they respond to either of those, then and of course you ask the permission for the thread. You don't just throw them in there. You got to ask the permission.
Okay.
That's important too, I think.
Okay. So good.
The other thing, I'll just say this really quick, is sometimes you add them to the thread and they can't handle it. All the dings and all the whatever, and they leave. And I'm like, okay, they're not ready yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had a girl do that again. She's been with me like maybe 7 months. She left the thread. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm not ready for all that yet. I'm like, that's cool. And so it's kind of like a test to be like, okay, are they really ready to run? You know what I mean? Are they ready for this? But I kept her close, and now she's back in the thread 7 months later.
Okay. This is fascinating to me. 1, you're amazing at what you do. But 2, because I've never heard of putting people in a thread unless you have given them like a do you want to work the business speech, they agree and then they go in. So this is mind-blowing to me, but I love it. It's so good. Okay,
and you'll get people. I mean, I had somebody I put in the thread go gold last month that I swear she's an ICU nurse. It's just about helping people and being in that space. And that thread is a big part of why she was gold.
Because that is her cheerleading. That's what keeps her going. Okay. So good. And as far as material that you put in there every day, are you giving them tasks? Like, do you say post this to your wall today? Like, make another post? Are you giving them instructions, or is it mostly just like happy, positive, whatever?
It's mostly happy, positive. You know, I have like a whole folder in my phone of all the pretty pictures and stuff, you know, inspiration. But I kind of try and I try and feel out where they are, you know, like I'll post a diamond documentary in there. I did that today. I put that in there. I do this is another thing. I start to freak out if I haven't added anybody new to this thread in like 48 hours. I'm like, oh, there needs to be new, because if you don't have new, it's going to get stale. It's not going to work. You got to have new constantly coming in your thread. Mm-hmm.
Which I've seen, if that is the case, then that makes sense why you've done it. Because if you're because it's team wide, right? So new people are able to add their people to that all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. The hype is key.
Mm-hmm. And you know, you can, and I'm probably gonna have to start doing this because it's gotten so big. I probably am gonna have to like redo one every so often, couple of months for people that, you know, just to freshen it up.
Yes. Guys, this is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna check these questions real quick. Okay, let's see. Okay, somebody asked, do you give these people, I think they're referring to people in the thread, the expectation of silver? So do you actually tell them what it means to have 3 people ordering? And if one of your people who went silver in there loses someone, do you go to them and be like, hey, you need to get another 3rd person to order again?
I don't, you know, I don't, partly just because I can't keep up with all of it, you know.
41 level 1s is a lot.
In 1 month. It's a lot. But okay, so what did she say before that about, I just lost my train of thought. She said,
do you give them the expectation for what getting 3 people would mean?
So what I do is, because the goal is to have new people every like 48 hours or so, I'm posting, I use the 5 steps to silver with Brooke and Emily. And so probably once a week, I'll post it in there and say, hey, this is for the newbies. Watch this, send me a PM on what you think, on your thoughts. Okay. And so I let them go over silver. And so they all know what it is. Yeah, for sure. Once they get in there, we're not necessarily like IPA and business and whatever. We're just like, share with your friends, go silver, get $175, you know?
Yes, because this is not a business chat. So that makes sense.
Right. It's not a business chat. It's not.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we are literally so thankful for every second of your time. I cannot tell you thank you enough.
So fun, Abby.
All right, you guys. Any last questions? I'm checking this thread to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Okay, last question was, I think it was about time management. So do you set timers on your phone? Like, how do you incorporate this into being a mama of 5?
I try to, because it's not really a business chat, there's not a lot of questions. There's not a lot of interaction beyond people congratulating people for signing ambassadors.
And you don't have to be in charge of that.
Right. There's not a lot of back and forth chit chat.
Okay, perfect. Yay. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. We're so honored to have you. All of you guys have such a good night.
Bye.